Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Forbes. I'm the California National Party chairman and host of Free the Bear.
Speaking of monopolies, I know also that there are with power companies, electrical generation, things like that. There's some monopolies going on.
Right.
Would you have plans to break those up into, for example, each region would be responsible for its own power generation rather than relying on one company for, the entire
Yeah,
state or whatever it is?
thanks for bringing that up. That is again, that's another a massive problem we have in this state is because we
Hmm.
have PG&E and SoCal Edison, and they control way too much of our electrical supply. And
Hmm.
these are monopolies. They have no natural, economic competitors. It's not like, one day you can just set up a power station nearby and be like, buy my power over them. There's no real
Yeah.
competition in the market whatsoever. So they need to be broken into a million pieces, and they need to be broken into ways that like they operate like the Department of Water and Power in Los Angeles. That is again like that.
Don't know what that means, but okay.
Well, that's a government agency. There is now, by the way, there's a huge caveat with that. The Department of Water and Power in Los Angeles is a weird entity. It is more privatized than people realize. People think it's a public
Hmm.
agency. There's a lot of it that's not.
Hmm.
But anyway, at least the idea of a Department of Water and Power, where
Hmm.
basically people have the ability to control the electrical policies of their region and area. And again, that should be
Hmm.
taken out of private hands because private hands, they're just going to raise rates just to raise rates. They need to appease their stockholders at any turn. And they also avoid, investing when they don't have to, which means that a lot of times we have outdated equipment. Sometimes it's
And you
outdated
end up
equipment.
with fires and the things that have been ravaging the state
Right,
past
power
decade.
lines fall down and all of a sudden they shoot out
Hmm.
sparks in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, so again, you cannot trust them with that kind of economic power. Or again, like,
Hmm.
I mean, there was a story about up north, there was a town of like, I think it was about 1,200 people. And anyway, like, they have like basically one general store, which also operates as their library and as their post office, right?
Hmm.
And PG&E, for whatever reason, jacked up their rate like 40%. and
Jesus.
and so like they're basically like, well, we can't operate anymore. Like we can't have a general store, we can't have a post office, we can't have a library. So it's like they're a destructive entity who does not care about the little guy whatsoever. And again, like, anyone in the state of California knows that again electrical rates just keep going up for no reason.
Hmm.
So again, that has to be put to heel pretty fast.
Hmm. I
So
think, yeah, that goes hand in hand with the housing and, employment issues and giving people at the very least, a sense of having some sort of a stable life, where they don't have to worry about, I'm paying $200 this month for my electric bill, but next month it might be $600, and I have no way of knowing if that's going to happen.
yeah,
Same
because
with rent.
it's a lot of
Yeah.
these things are just basically putting in floors, right? I mean, like, a lot of our policies is making sure that you have universal basic income. So again, you have extra bucks in your pocket per month. You also make sure that you're not getting wrecked by rents at every
Hmm.
turn, right? So again, even if you had UBI, if you don't have a rental control scheme of any kind, guess what? The landlords are going to steal that UBI money. So that has to almost
Sure.
go hand in hand. If you have universal health care, yeah, you pay a little bit more in taxes, but guess what? You're not paying like all these huge rates like you do right now privately. And also you're not going to
And
get
you
burned
can
out.
actually go to the doctor when you need to, not
Right.
wait until it's too fucking late and you're gonna die.
Exactly. So again, like, you have that protection. Again, that's peace of mind. And then also too, again, you're not going to end up bankrupt because you got sick. Because again, bankruptcy.
That's one thing I can say about all my years living here in the Philippines. I've never been scared to go to the doctor if I need to go to the doctor for whatever reason, the dentist, my heart issues, whatever it is. I've never been afraid to go to the doctor because I know I'm not going to get bankrupted.
Right.
Even though I'm paying out of pocket, I don't really have insurance here. My daughter does have insurance through the Philippine government because she's half Filipino, but I've never really had that concern. The most I think I've ever paid, and this is a couple of years ago when I did have my heart problems and I ended up in the hospital. I think I paid, gosh, I don't even remember now. It was thousands of dollars, but it wasn't like what it would have been in the U.S. And I didn't have to pay it at the time of, when I got the care. I was able to pay it off over, I think it was, gosh, it was like a year and a half or 2 years almost that it took me to pay that stuff off, but nobody hounded me about it. No, I didn't get any, collection notices in the mail. People weren't calling my phone every other day like happens in the US, demanding that you make this payment or we're going to come take your house, we're going to take your car, we're going to do this and that
Right,
and the other
right, right.
thing.
Yeah.
And I if I'd have been in the US and I had those problems, and we talked a lot about this in the past when it was actually happening, when I was having those blackouts and falling and hitting my head and all that stuff. If I'd have been in the US, I do genuinely believe that I would have died. I do not believe I'd be sitting here today talking to you. I think I would have died because I would not have been able to get the medical care that I was able to get here. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand that in terms of me being an expatriate and not
Yeah.
living in the US and not wanting to live in the US. I think people don't understand that um, that's a big fact. It was a big factor for me in the decision almost 20 years ago when I decided to move here full time. I came here that first time and I had some dental work done and I think I had a tooth pulled or I had a cavity filled or something like that. It was like $20 or $18 or $16. It was something so ridiculously cheap that would have cost me even 20 years ago hundreds of dollars at my local dentist,
Right,
right?
right, right. Yeah.
And it clicked into my head at that time, shit, I could just go and live there because the rent is cheaper, the groceries are so much cheaper, medical care is cheaper. What else do I need? What else do I
Right. I
need
mean, it's just again like
that I can't get in the US? I mean, what is not here that I can get in the US? Then I couldn't think of many things, Sean. I couldn't think of many things
no, no,
at
no.
all.
I totally agree. I
And
mean,
that's how I ended up here.
like, because I think it's just like right now, like the CMP is trying to rationalize this system. Again, with independent California, we can have some rational way. Like again, like there is like, for example, what you're talking about in the Philippines. I mean, there's a lot of things that actually do make sense, that actually do work out. I mean, again, we need to have something where our medical system actually makes some rational sense. I mean, why are we actually
Mhm.
paying this much for certain things? Obviously, again, it's not the payment to doctors is not the what is it again, like any prescriptions or anything like that. Everything's just marked up, right? I mean, it's just like again, we're just getting ripped left and
By
right.
not even tenfold or 100-fold, sometimes by 1,000-fold, the shit is marked up.
Yeah, and
Who's
again, it's
who
just
in their right mind would pay $100 for a fucking aspirin? You could buy a whole goddamn case of aspirin for $100
right,
and
exactly, and that's what they charge. And again, like other countries, again, even though they might not have like the full development of the United States, they don't allow this kind of crap to keep going
let me
on.
tell you
Yeah,
something. Let me tell you something, Sean. Every doctor that I have seen here, with the exception of two that I know of, they were educated at medical schools in the United States.
yeah,
I'm getting no different level of healthcare here than you would be in California.
no,
But I'm paying literally a fraction. I mean literally a fraction. I don't That's not metaphorical. That is literal fraction.
yeah,
What you pay $1,000 for, I probably pay 20 or 30 at most,
yeah. And again,
right?
it's like that's again. Yeah, well, that's always upsetting to hear. I mean, from my end, in California, but yeah, I mean, our whole plan really is to make sure that we have a system where it actually starts making sense and that people, you know what, we can't guarantee anything. It's not like we can guarantee utopia
Sure,
or anything like that. But again, if
sure.
you have a few bucks in your pocket per month that you can use and save for whatever, if your health care is not going to murder you financially, if again, like, your housing, your rents are not going to be, you're not working every month just to basically keep a roof over your head, if that can be put into place, if electricity costs are maintained and not being, you're not getting ripped again by, whatever shenanigans PG&E or Southcutt Edison was doing, or if people remember in the past, like Enron actually kind of ran our electrical grid for a while and ripped us off
Hmm.
completely, and we was doing rolling blackouts for no reason. You take away all those factors, you got kind of a good country here. And then also again too,
Yeah.
again like when it comes to national defense, well, how much you really kind of need? I mean, you get a few nuclear weapons and you get some, a few $1 billion for some special response troops and things like that. You don't need to be maintaining the empire because really right now your tax money in the United States, It's money laundering. You're just paying for so much again. So we have to have a revamping of how we just do business as a society. And right now, we just know by the late vote of like, for Donald Trump getting to office that, Americans as a whole in a lot of these red states by the large majorities are prepared to stagnate or even go into crazier, weirder directions where it's like, we're not going to fund textbooks in schools, but we're going to make sure everyone reads from the Bible. I mean, there's nothing that really makes sense that we're doing right now. And I think that the California National Party, if given power, if given California independence, would allow, again, a breath of fresh air for new ideas, unique ways of doing things, a special way of actually like tackling problems that make sense, and have much more of a democracy than we do have in this current United States or just in the state of California as it is. I mean, we're
But
talking
that
about
makes
restructuring of entire society here, but not like, this isn't some Mao's year zero stuff. This is just basically employing the good ideas that have already been in history and already been tried out, but again, no one has political strength to do it.
right, and it would make a difference in people's lives, not corporations' bottom lines. I think that's a big difference. I think that's a big thing. We need to be changing people's lives, making people's lives better, not making corporations richer.
No, exactly. And we need to have people to be empowered over their communities. Again, our whole thing is, again, locality, locality, locality to a certain point. I mean, obviously, again, we can't have like areas turn into, California's Alabama or something like that. But I mean, we do have to have a lot more people having control over their lives. I mean, also, one of the last things, too, is this is an idea we're kicking around and trying to flesh out is, employing more what's called like liquid democracy, where you would have a representative, for example, right? Like saying like the assembly, for certain things that are put up for vote that, again, like not the minutia of like, parliamentary, was it regs or anything like that, but like actual like final votes in certain bills. Why not in this age of like blockchain and, technology where things cannot be hacked and things can be encrypted? Why can't they do instant votes with their population of registered voters who can say, yes, I want you to vote this way, or no, I want you to vote the other way?
Right,
Or
right. Yeah,
abstain.
that makes sense.
Or abstain and basically like, look, I don't know about this bill. You're the rep. You tell me what you want. So, yeah, I mean, it's something we want to do too. I mean, no matter what, our whole system was thought for California National Party is breaking down to the point that people have more control. Again, monopolies are ended. And again, there is some flooring. Again, nothing will be safe in the future for everyone, but again, like a hell of a lot better than what it is right now.
Sure.
So,
Just one, I guess maybe a last question. We're getting close to the end here. For someone like me, an expatriate, what does California independence, what would that mean to me? What would it mean for me not being there?
I think that what you would see is that when you take out the fourth or fifth largest economy from the United States, right, you're going to see a United States that is no longer causing a lot of issues around the world. It is going to be something where they lost a lot of their ability to project, again, these kind of weird imperialist projects or like, the backing up of a genocide in Gaza because they just don't have the means to keep doing that. And also, I would say, too, that you would see a positive change in the United States because California goes independent. We showcase a good model of how a state can be run, or nation state, I should say. I think that it would also cause a domino effect in the remaining United States, where people go, well, why aren't we operating like this? Why are we not doing this the California way? Why are we not acting better?
What states do you think would follow?
I think probably Oregon and Washington would be first ones right out of the gate. I would say that. I would say also then Hawaii too.
Doesn't Hawaii already have an independence movement?
It does, but it actually the Hawaiian independence movement, for example, is a little bit splintered. So again, it's kind of hard sometimes to figure out like who actually is like the main one. It's not like, for example, like there's one main Puerto Rican independence movement, right?
Sure.
But yeah, Hawaii's a little bit more splintered. But I think that again, they would probably join up in something as well too. And again, like I would say that in the future, commonwealths of independent states, even though that's a real term, but again, a version of that in the United States would actually probably happen. And again, a lot of states I think would just stop buying into the kind of right-wing Republican nonsense and actually try to reorganize affairs and focus more domestically instead of this kind of whatever this world state empire building that has been a project since the after the Second World War.
Right. And now I think have there been other states in the U.S. that have attempted this in the past? I think Texas is one, right? Hasn't Texas tried to do the secession before or no?
Well, I mean, they have the Texas nationalist movement. I mean, unless you're like, you know, yeah, I mean, that's like basically been the only thing in the modern age.
Hmm.
And they're pretty strong. They've run candidates. They've had like a lot of interesting ideas. Um, I would say that again, like, they would be probably trying to do their own thing, but again, also right now they're really counter-cyclical, or I guess like how do you say, like, if Obama or Biden gets in, right, then they're like, oh, we're gonna leave, but then the
Right.
moment
Sure.
Trump
Sure.
gets in, like, then they're gonna go dormant like locusts.
Right.
Yeah, it's just again like I don't think that all they are is a reactionary, like, screw the liberals movement. I don't think they have anything of really original thought. And I
Right.
would actually say that pretty much if you look at their website too, it's basically just a laundry list of items they wish for, getting Christianity back in the schools and all this kind of stuff. It's like it's all it is just like anytime there's a liberal president involved, they again they just get nuts about it for a second, they get worked up. The moment that liberal steps down, or again, a Trump or a Republican gets back in, you'll never hear of them again. And then
I
it
just wanna
goes
I
back.
just wanna go off on a little tangent if you don't mind. Uh, Talking about you said you want to get the Bible back in school. All these movements to ban books and to burn books and all this stuff, they're all fiction books, considered subversive or whatever you want to say.
Mhm.
How about the Bible? I think the Bible is probably the most subversive, divisive book ever written.
Well, it's
And
also too. It's like
it's
hilarious that by their own standards, you couldn't actually
it's
should be showing the Bible.
fiction. It's fiction.
It's not.
It's not real.
I
It's
would
just
not
like
say
all the other
that. I
books.
mean, I'm a halfway practicing Catholic myself, but I would say, however, that by their own standards, the Bible should not be in the library because the Bible has multiple incidents of ultra violence, genocide, pornographic statements. Talk about
Incest.
adultery, incest, a lot of crazy little things there that, again, like, if you're impressionable little boy or girl is going to see that, I don't know how they're going to take it, but for some reason they're giving that a huge pass.
All you got to do is look at Mississippi, Arkansas, any southern state, and you see exactly how they take it. And
Yeah.
you'll see exactly why they're at the bottom of the
And,
education scale in the United States.
right. Well, again, because they just don't care about anything else. And this whole thing about book banning and things like that, it just gets so silly. And again, it is basically the equivalent of like McCarthyism, Red Scare kind of nonsense,
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
And again, the library just shutting down books left and right. I have no idea about it. I think the only book that the library should ban is Mein Kampf. How about that?
Yeah,
Simple, yeah.
yeah. Beyond
Yeah,
for educational and studying purposes to know what to look for.
yeah, like, well, maybe just the Turner Diaries, what else? Anything else? Maybe Unabomber's Manifesto. Who knows? That's
The Anarchist Cookbook.
Vinegar's Cookbook. Yeah, like something like that. But like the rest of this is, they get into hysterics because, Susie Q. Karen gets nuts that her kid, like, may have heard that there was a gay kid on page 26. That's really gets down to it. I mean, it's always, again, like, again, this warped paranoia and fear. Again, which Republicans suck because that's the only thing they can ever talk about. I mean, like, Democrats at least make a half-assed attempt about economics, but
Mhm.
Republicans, again, all they ever talk about is culture war, culture war, culture war. If you go to any of their things, they never talk about economics anymore. It's always about, well, what do you think about trans athletes? It's like, you mean the 0.00001% that might actually be a factor? Sure, okay. Let's talk about them all day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Rather than genocide.
yeah,
Yeah,
or
let's talk
anything like
about
that. Or just, again, why are we spending so much money in this? Or again, like, how do we actually have a functioning economy? Or why the fact that, like, living standards are decreasing? Or why the fact that, again, like, how old, like, again, like, our, what is it, what's the term? Our living age, again, like, our mortality age is, like, decreasing. It used to be like around
Mm.
like 78, now it's down to like 76, that kind of stuff. Like,
Mm.
why are we having these decreasing standards? No, no, no. You have to talk about gays and how to talk about like how I'm angry at Budweiser because there's a trans woman. It's all
So don't drink
nonsense.
Budweiser then. Just drink some other piss.
Yeah, again, because such a king of beers there. Yeah, I mean,
Ay, ay, ay.
now
Now
like
it's going to be the queen of beers. Yes.
I just think again, like when it comes down to all this stuff, really, it's just that Republicans are all bad ideas. Democrats are no ideas. And again, California deserves a hell of a lot more. And right now, we're just suffering for
Absolutely.
no reason. So, again, I hope people can just take a look at us. Again, we'll be following this up again.
What,
And I,
what, what, one last
yeah,
thing.
sure.
What can expatriates like myself do to help the movement?
Well, we do.
What can I do? What can I do? How can I help to advance this cause and, in a meaningful way, not just lip service or whatever. What can people like me do?
Well, basically, you could start off with going to our website, votecmp.org. You can look up chapters and also look up membership. Membership basically means a way to be a retainer to kind of help us out with our funding so we can get our
Mhm.
message out. That's one. The other thing, too, is that, again, we do have a chapter outside California, which you can join up, which is meant for expatriates, which is not just like, your situation, Todd. We're talking also about expatriates who are in other states. Like, for example, we've had people
Sure.
move to Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Colorado,
Mhm.
for example, who still want to help out CMP. And again, that's basically the catch-all right there. So that chapter, signing up for membership, votecmp.org. Again, also attend the meetings, etc. And again, we can just keep talking about how we can actually advance now as we're dawning into the era of Trump 2.0.
I am not looking forward to that.
No, and I guess on that note, yes, we're all not looking forward to that, but thanks again, Todd. Appreciate it. And again, I'm Sean Forbes, California CMP Chair, and we'll be reaching out again to you next time. And please, in the meantime, check us
This,
out at votecmp.org.
and this has been Todd Barcelo, Davao City, Philippines. I applaud the escalation of decay.
And on that note, see you next time, folks.